We have this work that has come down to us as the divine vision of Hermes Mercurius Trismegistus, who is described as a priest of the mysteries of Egypt, and whose writings, according to their own content, bear not the stamp of a man, but the stamp of heaven. It decreed or destined that the work should have a minority audience, that it could only be understandable by certain types of persons. Thus, the Hermes of the vision is a person without crystallized personality. He is an archetypal kind of person. Perhaps he represents all truth seekers, or the truth seeker. And he beheld filling the universe, filling space, a strange monster. This monster was a great winged dragon, which writhed and turned and twisted in the air. In the vision, this dragon becomes the personification of universal mind, the intellect of the world. Hermes, however, fearful of the tremendous impact of this mind in the form of the great dragon, beseeches reason to present itself to him in some more familiar. There arose out of this mist and this darkness, now ascending from below, a great column, a pillar. And this pillar became a great radiant thing standing in the midst of the mist. The universal mind began to devise out of itself the devisements of itself. It began to project its own eternal reason into the products of reason, fashioning out of itself many patterns as though upon a potter's wheel. It descended out of its own nature and became one with its thought. And this descent, or this departure from its own center into the center of its own production, and from this came the supreme illusion, which is existence as we know it. Now, in the midst of these procedures, Hermes beholds something still further. He beholds rising out of the deepness and darkness of things Anthropos, the divine man. Anthropos seems to stand in the midst of all things. This is the mysterious, primordial, archetypal, universal man. And this man, in the Hermetic doctrine, is the one and only begotten Son of the Father. And this is the man that stands forth as Anthropos, the man which is the son of the mind, the son of reason. For this man is the final and most perfect of the archetypal projections of the mind of the Creator. This man, therefore, is that being made and fashioned in the image of the reason of God. Efforts have been made to parallel this man with the Christ of Christianity as the only begotten, and also, strangely, as the celestial Adam. For this man, fashioned by the Father, is truly the Redeemer of the world. It is truly the creature that was made to be proprietor over all things. It was this creature that was given the right to be a citizen in space. This mysterious, shadowy archetype. All of the essentials and essences of the divine nature were united, so that truly it was the noblest work of the Creator, and was really a kind of projection of himself. There may be a parallel to this in the idea of Osiris being reborn in his own son Horus. This archetypal being was virtuous, gracious, full of light and wisdom, defective in nothing, deficient in nothing, because within it were all the potentials and powers of the eternal reason. This creature, like its father, could project thoughts from its own mind, And then the Pymander shows a certain indebtedness to Greek mythology. For this Anthropos, this heavenly man, gazing down into the abyss, gazes as though into the depth of a still pool, or upon the surface of a burnished mirror. And looking down into the abyss, he sees, looking back up at him, a strange shadowy likeness of himself. This is the projection of his own thought in the daydream of creation. And this Anthropos, looking down, becomes enamored of its own mysterious reflection, and descends or hurls itself from the ring of the governors down into the darkness of the underworld. It goes not because of sin. It goes rather because of fascination. And as it moves downward, there is a reaction from below. A mysterious mother principle, rises out of the darkness of the below and envelops the Anthropos with robes of mist and of darkness. Envelops it with strange protecting garments. And in these garments it falls into darkness and into sleep. Suddenly, it is born again, and its birth is in the birth of body. Remember, our Anthropos, or our man now, is a kind of mind. Of course, the great mother, the enveloping mother, is form, or body, which to protect this mind in the darkness of the abyss, wraps it in a kind of swaddling garment, protecting the power of the mind by encasing it in a form. It then leads it downward into the world of form. And we find then archetypal man, passing from the state of a spiritual existence to the state of a material existence. So what has actually happened now is that the dragon, having projected the archetype of creation, creates an instrument by means of which it can move into its own archetype. This instrument is archetypal man, the symbol of Manus, the mind thinker. And taking upon itself the likeness of its own mind, it moves into its thought, falls with it into nature or into matter, and comes forth as embodied reason. This creature, wrapped in cloths and robes, it has lost all memory of its own origin. This mind then, coming forth and becoming the archetypal material man, becomes the parallel of the Adam Kadmon of the Kabbalists. For this is the Adam made of the red earth. This is the Adam whose nature is outwardly earthy, but whose inward parts still belong in and to heaven.
This is the collective soul, Adam Harishon, and actually this is the state we still live in, except that we have lost any sensation of our true condition. As this state was lowered through a number of phases by the force of development, which is the development of desire and also the development of the will to receive rather than the will to bestow, it arrived at the independent desire of the creature. Now, this is reflected in our experience this way. This state is experienced rather as a kind of a matrix, a lattice that contains 600,000 independent parts individual souls, all related to each other. The relationship one to another and the influence between them is enormous. They are all interrelated, actually, in the way that they were related in their original state. But the awareness of this relationship is lost.